Arrow Season 5, Episode 17, Kapiushon. This was a pretty good one. I actually enjoyed this. Getting to see them kind of reverse things a bit, where most of this episode took place in the flashbacks. I think it actually did a really good job. We see what led to Oliver actually finally getting the tattoo, which was really nuts. Like, we finally get the episode where he gets the tattoo, and this is a cool way to tie it in, of course. But we get the episode where he finally gets the tattoo, and then in that moment is where Adrian's like, you must feel a lot of shame when you see that tattoo and stuff, and he torches it off of him, which I thought was insane. I was like, wow, he went through some torture. Like, he has to hold his breath for a long time, but he's got matching burns now because he's had that scar on his one side for a long time, and then it's like, let's just match that up, and he just burns off the Bratva captain tattoo. So that was pretty nuts. So there's another tattoo gone, and just this whole episode, I actually thought it was a really good episode. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. The breakfast stuff was pretty good. It was simple, but I enjoyed it, and it was a lot to do. Well, really, the whole episode was Oliver versus the Arrow. It was like, who is what? And, can he be one thing? And this separation of, man from monster, how is that going to work? Like, how does that work on your psyche? How does that work when you realize that you can't separate these two things? They are one and the same. How are you going to work with that realization? And I think they did a good job with it. I mean, we have him being tortured in the beginning throughout the episode by Adrian, and we bring in Evelyn, who I admittedly completely forgot even existed in this season. So I was like, oh crap, it's Evelyn. I forgot she was in here. But she's working with him, and they do like the fake thing. Excuse me, do like the fake torture sequence where he has to kill her in order to survive, or she has to kill him, and she fake dies. Which, it was funny. I was like, I'm pretty sure he did actually snap her neck, because they always have a sound effect. They even do it in the recap in this episode when Oliver killed Tatya in the past on the island, and there's that super loud neck snap, and they had that with Adrian and Evelyn, and she fell to the ground. I was like, they didn't do like the super loud neck snapping noise. I was like, I'm pretty sure he didn't actually do anything. Excuse me. So I wasn't super surprised when she got up at the end. She was like, I knew he'd crack, just like he said he would. So they're still working together. I don't really know what the deal is, because of course Oliver gets let go at the end of the episode, and it's like, at some point, like, is he gonna actually kill Adrian? Which it seems like that's what he wants to do a little bit, based off of the promo. But at the same time, he of course doesn't want to be the Green Arrow anymore either. So don't know how that's gonna play out, and what role Evelyn's going to have, if she even really has one. I mean, like I said, I forgot that she was even working with him, because she just hasn't shown up. Like, it's been Prometheus this whole time, and she's, I guess, just been in this location forever. I don't know. Like, we just haven't seen her do anything, so it was just kind of funny. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot she was important in this season. So, don't know exactly what role they might, bring out with her before we end the season, if she ends up making a return. But in this one, she had a minute role in kind of breaking down Oliver so he realizes the truth, which I figured that was going to be the answer a little bit, is that he wants to kill people. Like, he doesn't have to kill people, he just wants to. But it's a little bit more than he wants to. It's that he enjoys it, and we really get to see that in the flashbacks. Like, I never felt this way before, but seeing the stuff that he did in the flashbacks, specifically when he tortured the guy and he filleted his skin off, I was like, okay, that was really dark. Like, I've never really thought of that before with Oliver, where it's like, okay, he kills people and stuff, and it's like he's fighting against these criminals and he kills them, and it's like, okay, yes, he does that. Or he has a crazy situation where he's been tortured by someone physically or mentally, and so he kind of loses it on him. It's like, okay, I get that. But seeing him torture that dude, where it's like, I guess Anatoly says, he's like, I guess he held out quite a while before he gave you any information. And I was like, no, he actually gave up pretty quick. The rest was just me practicing. And I'm like, what type of sadistic sort of stuff is that? Like, that's like a psychopath talking right there. So it was very interesting having that flashback and having him be this, really, really dark character, compared to, like, yeah, he's killed people and he kills all the villains off and stuff like that. It's like, sure, that makes sense. But he just tortured that guy, and he was practicing, just to be a more villainous person almost. Like, he was basically practicing to be a killer. And it was just really crazy. I was like, wow, I've never really looked at it in that way, because I've never thought it was never that crazy where he would just lose it on people. It's kind of like with Diggle when he lost it on the one guy, and he was just like beating the crap out of him. But Oliver, it was even darker. Like he was in complete mental control. Like Diggle had snapped, and it's like, okay, once again you can kind of relate to it. It's like, yeah, I understand he snapped. It was still a bit far, but he completely snapped because of the crazy situation he was going through. With Oliver, it was like he went through that crazy torture, and he was just like, yeah, I'm kind of just having fun with this. I'm just doing it just to do it. So it was nuts watching him go through the episode in that way and seeing how he could easily go through situations without killing people, which of course we know that he could do that. But it's not just, oh, I'm getting rid of the villains permanently. It's like, I kind of like it. I have fun being, like, you know, being on top of the food chain almost, and killing everyone beneath me. And it was just really interesting actually going through the episode and seeing that. And Anatoly tries to tell him, like, you know, you don't need to separate the man and the monster. Like, you need to be the man and control the part of the monster, because if you separate it and let the monster get too big, at some point, it'll erase the man on the other side. And that's, of course, what ends up happening, because Oliver's become, you know, the Arrow. And I think he's been kind of working his way towards what Adrian forces him to realize anyway, a little bit. Because he goes to, like, you know, not killing people anymore, which he's broken that rule. And you know, the whole team kind of breaks that rule, especially, I've mentioned a million times, Renee, just guns blazing with those little SMGs. So, you know, they kind of touch on it quite a bit here and there, but it was really good. I personally, I really enjoyed it. I thought it worked really well. We get to see the end of Kovar and how all that stuff plays out with Oliver and him, you know, how he, like I said, gets the tattoo and becomes a captain. But they take out Kovar, which he didn't have to do. They could have let him go and, you know, be arrested and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, he will face justice, and he just kills him. He kills him off right there. We get rid of, I don't even remember the other guy's name, but the guy that actually betrayed them in the end, he actually ends up dying because of the poison. And I guess he just, he betrayed them, and I guess he just wasn't really a part of the plan, and so he still ends up dying anyway. We get a pretty cool fight sequence between Oliver and Kovar, because it's like, you know, I feel like I have to do this, of course, for the revenge a little bit. And you know, this is kind of another thing where, you know, when he talks, he finally reveals to Tatya and Vlad's mother that they died. And so when she asks who killed them, of course his answer is a monster. And, you know, it was just very interesting, him having been the one to kill both of them, and then he also has to go in, and he doesn't save her in time, and she ends up dying because she gave him the key to try to, you know, stop Kovar. And it was just very interesting watching that sequence where he gets there and it's too late. And it's like, man, he killed all three of these people. It's different circumstances every time. Of course, with Vlad, he was set up to have killed him because Vlad was trying to murder him, so he had to defend himself. And of course, you know, when someone becomes like a super demon, basically because of a totem, and they don't want to kill everybody on the planet, you have to take them out. So, you know, very different circumstances, but ultimately, you know, on the surface, it comes down to, it was still him. It was Oliver's, you know, actions or decisions to, you know, like how he decided to take down Kovar and get help from their mother. It's what led to her death, and it was just crazy. Like, wow, he's responsible almost for, like, this entire family's death. Like, we don't know where the father was, but he just, like, the whole family's just gone. And then we get a little bit closer to the end of the episode, and it's like, okay, so Kovar faces justice. He's been killed. But Malcolm Merlin, who showed up randomly at the beginning of the episode, he comes in at the end, and he's like, yeah, no problem, you know, I just wanted to help out, you know, villains helping villains, that's just how it works. And we see that Kovar actually survived, so he's still alive, and I assume that we're going to see him, if not in this season, it has to be next season, because I would assume we're close to the end of the season. I forgot what episode this was, but with this being episode 17, I'd say we probably have, actually, we probably have quite a few episodes left. They always go, you know, the mid-20s and stuff. So I assume we have quite a few episodes left. It just makes me wonder, is, you know, Kovar worth saving for the next season, or should they bring him in right now? Because considering all the Prometheus stuff, and especially what they just introduced with Oliver no longer wanting to do the vigilante thing, it makes me wonder how much longer this is going to go on for. Like, how long is Adrian going to be a big part of the show as Prometheus? And what are they going to do with Evelyn as, one of the teammates of Prometheus, and also Talia al Ghul. So there's still a lot they can do with just these 3 characters without even remotely needing to bring Kovar back into it until next season. They have 3 villain characters that they can easily utilize. So we just have to wait and see how that starts playing out. But I wouldn't mind if Kovar came back. As long as he didn't die in this season, I wouldn't mind if he came back and he ended up becoming like, sort of a long-running villain, that sort of deal. And maybe he reintroduces himself to Oliver this season, and then, next time is when he comes back. But I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe he'll show up in the very next episode, because Anatoly does come to the States in the next one, so maybe that has something to do with Kovar coming back to life, and them realizing that Kovar, came back to life a long time ago. But I'm excited for this next episode. I don't really know where it's headed, but I thought it was great. I thought they did a really good job touching on the darker side of Oliver Queen and his earlier days of separating, himself from the Arrow side of him, and how that just doesn't work. He did it for so long that he started to kind of believe the lie a little bit. He went through being like, okay, well, this is just the darker side of me, but this is like Oliver Queen me. No big deal. I can do this and I can do that as well. And that's just not the case. He went through and he just became a flat-out killer. And he was working on it a bit. Like I said, he tried to stop killing people last season, but then it was like, I gotta kill Damien Dark. So, he was kind of going through things quite a bit and just trying to figure himself out. But now he's revealed it, and they tie it in once again when he reveals the truth. We get like our final flashback where, I think it was the one before the final flashback, because I think the last part was Kovar coming back to life. But we have Anatoly telling him, you shouldn't separate the man from the monster, because at some point, when you realize that the monster's taken over, and you want to bring, like, the man back out, you're not going to like that side of you that's taken over for, however long it's been. And that's, of course, exactly what happens. He realizes as the man, the monster that he let run free wasn't really that great. And so he hates himself a little bit, which he always does that anyway. He's always doubting himself or something like that. But I think it's a bit more advanced by the end of this episode. So I'm looking forward to where we're headed. But I think this was a really good episode touching on, Oliver's personality and how he's changed over time, and how certain things he thought changed never really did. So I really enjoyed the way this episode ended. And of course, he's just let free. So I don't know what to expect with how things are going to go with Adrian and Talia and Evelyn, as they kind of got what they wanted. It was just to torture Oliver, and they got it. So I don't know where it's headed next, but really looking forward to it. Of course, I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I want to know what you guys thought about the ending to this episode. Were you surprised by the way that it played out? Are you excited for what it's going to lead to next? I'm excited, personally. I think this would be a really good step for the show, just to see, hopefully, if it lasts a while. I don't want it to be like he doesn't want to be the Green Arrow for one episode, and then by the end of the next episode, he's like, you know what? I gotta be the Green Arrow. I want it to be more than one episode, at least 2 episodes. I mean, we know he's going to go back to it, so they could at least draw it out and make it entertaining, where he has this struggle for an extended period of time. I wouldn't hate it if it was like 3 episodes where he's like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, he says he's shutting the whole thing down, so it does make you wonder if he's going to force everyone else to stop, because really, I mean, they can do whatever they want. They don't have to listen to him, but it makes me wonder, are they all going to stop being vigilantes just because he stopped, or will they continue to do their own thing and try to convince him to come back? Because that's how I feel like it's going to play out. But like I said, I'm excited, and I'm hoping that it at least lasts for 2 episodes. And if they went to 3, I think they'll be fine too. They just got to work with it, and we see how it plays out. But we'd love to know how you guys felt about the ending and Oliver, quitting the vigilante scene. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.